reviewing my year's motivational challenge that I can't believe I set a whole year ago today. Well, I'm going to do the bad first because I always like ending on a positive. I think certain times I could have been slightly more focused, although I was motivated, and I do say when you're wanting to have focus you think of it as like a magnifying glass. Like the sun's out now, if you wanted to set fire to a piece of paper, you hold that magnifying glass just at the right focus so that you catch that piece of paper alight. I know I was very focused. I think that I had lots of ideas going on, and I feel that the good thing is now is that a motivational challenge doesn't just last a year, so I think that I now know the mistakes that I've made and can move forward and achieve a lot more than I have achieved. Although saying that, I am very pleased with some of the things that I have achieved within this year. I've certainly learned a lot about myself. I've also learned that I was so focused on getting people to book me, whereas my goal for this next motivational challenge will be to put on events myself, like I have done in the past. Although in the past I was still quite old school, I was doing flyers and posters. I think that's not really the way to go anymore, so I'm going to focus more on having an online presence, doing Facebook adverts, Instagram maybe, and things like YouTube. And I've got a secondary YouTube channel, depending on which channel you're watching this video on. One's doing very well, I'm dead pleased about it, and my NLP one is slowly growing numbers, but it's still a great platform to get yourself out there. I have learnt an awful lot, and also as well I feel that I now know where to go in the future. I'd say I was 40% more motivated than I was last year. Now a 40% increase might not be getting the whole audience punching the air with excitement, but I think 40% increase in motivation's a good thing, and I know for a fact that I will have 80% motivation this coming year. And also as well, I'm going to make sure that I do monthly uploads on how I'm getting on, because things get in the way, like Christmas and projects in the house and other video projects I've been doing, and sometimes I have so many balls in the air it's difficult to fully focus on everything. But I do feel that the reason why I say 80, because you should say 100%, but I think that if I aim for 100% and I do 80, then I'm doing really well. Plus as well, I think you can always reach for more no matter how brilliant you are in life. Probably even gurus that I really like Jim Rohn. You know, I'm sure that they sometimes look back and thought on their life, I could have done better in that, and I think that's just a case of being human. I do feel that my NLP videos will change over this coming year. The year being that I will think now from September, I was getting the video out once a week, and it was great and I love giving the tips, but I often had to think I've got to get out and I've got to film some videos, which sometimes got in the way of the project because I so wanted to keep those videos going for my subscribers, which I felt very lucky to have, you know, on both channels, even a small group of them. But I felt that because it got in the way slightly, I think I'd rather give few videos but absolutely fantastic content, and that way I feel that it respects what I want to achieve as well, and plus as well give the audience, you know, a good opportunity to see how good my videos can really be and how informative they can be, rather than quickly think of some ideas and just go out on the fly and do it. I think I might have put a bit of pressure on myself because I'm one of those people who, once I say I'm going to do something, I'll make sure I go ahead and do it. And I think that, you know, sometimes you need to be a little bit more flexible, and in NLP there's a saying which says the person with the most flexibility has the most choices, and that's very true. I'll answer that question in a roundabout way. When you go to the gym, they always say don't go every single day. You should have stress followed by a day of rest. And that's what I'm going to do. No, I'm not stressed like I'm pulling my hair out or anything, but that you're working really hard, then you rest for a day. Then you're working really hard, then you rest for a day. And I think that's great for the mind as well. I'm going to continue thinking on that line, because I would be very motivated and do a lot in one go, then I'd be tired and then not do it for a few days. And I feel that there wasn't that consistency built up. So from this point onwards, definitely going to have the stress followed by rest. A lot of writer's block. I was doing brilliantly on it until about my birthday, and it slightly slipped a bit then. I have brought it back out again and slapped myself over the wrist for not writing it, and I've got a better idea. And again, I think about 6 months I should have it written. That's my realistic goal, is in 6 months, if I apply all that I learnt and just go ahead and do it. If I just mess about, it won't. In another video that I've done, I say that surround yourself with people ahead of the game. That comes from speaking to professional pool players. One of the things which I feel that I'm going to be doing now is make more contact. Now, I made contact with people, professional pool players. I've just made a contact today who is a professional pool player, just asking him for some videos. Now, I also think as well that if you surround yourself with people, and I did go for some meets with people that were doing better than myself, it gives you the willingness and motivation to go up to their level. I think when you just surround yourself with people that aren't particularly bothered, sometimes it just drags you down and you don't bother so much yourself. But if you're surrounding yourself with people, you somehow better yourself. Going back to making connections, something else I want to mention as well is that I had the idea of going to events and mixing with people and getting my name out there, and I've actually noticed from doing some of this video work as well, I've made far more better connections from actually being a part of something, either being work video or volunteer work video, because you're there, you ask questions and you can be there in front of people. Whereas I went to an amazing event, and I don't regret going to it at all, because I got an awful lot from it, from just being in the audience. But then you're just a number, so I tried to push myself forward and tried to go and speak to some of the speakers afterwards, but there were also a heck of a lot of other people wanting to do the same thing. Whereas if I said I wish to go and volunteer, then I would have been there with some sort of authority to actually approach the speakers, rather than just be sort of in the background and trying to go forward, oh, I do this, this and this, when there's a whole lot of other people that want to ask their questions as well. So that would be a bit of advice that I'd give to people watching now, is if you wish to achieve something, don't just be a number, really kind of make yourself a presence, whether it's being volunteer or doing something, but make yourself that you are a presence in front of those people you wish to make contact with. If you have difficulty pushing yourself forward, then maybe you could watch some of these YouTube videos, or even see an NLP master practitioner. But is to respect where you are and not try and be someone that you're not. You can just say a volunteer role. So you're going to get opportunity speaking to people, even if it's, say, look, I want to just tear the tickets, or I go around cleaning, between each session of a particular talk, or whatever it is. Or if you're a musician and you wish to kind of carry and lug, be like the roadie type sort of person you hear people being, you might not want to feel comfortable pushing yourself and saying, hey, I'll do this straight away. But if you can leave that just at least asking one question and fearing the fear and doing it anyway, and push yourself forward just a little bit, then that tiny bit of confidence will grow within inside yourself, and it becomes easier and easier each time you do it. And also as well, it's important to realise that it's scary doing something for the first time. I mean, I feel there's been people walking around here at the moment, and when I first started doing these videos, I'd be thinking, oh, I don't want to be seen in public doing these things. Doing it in my room, doing my talk would be fine. But people saying, what's this weird person doing, just talking into their camera? It will come with time, and just be patient with yourself and go back and try again. And there's no such thing as failure, only feedback. I am glad that I gave myself this motivational challenge, even though I wasn't quite where I wanted to be when I first set it. I think it's important for other people out there to realise that everyone's human and they don't always... A lot of luck plays part of these things as well, and also as well maybe I was looking in some other directions that might have not been the best thing now I've been reviewed it, but I think that, as I said, I'm 40% better than I was this time last year, and I'm pleased because of that. And one of the things I've also done is take care of my health just a bit more. It's always eating a whole food vegetarian diet, but just be a little bit more aware. I'm seeing a dietitian at the moment to really help me out, and I think that it's been a really good thing for me to do because I know a lot more about myself and I know my downfalls and know what to work on myself more. And as I said earlier on, I'm 40% better off than I was this time last year, so I think that if I can get the 80, then it really will be worth me doing this, and I hope other people continue to follow along and do this along with me, because that's why I set up and I wanted to do NLP. I wanted not just everybody else to be happy, I wanted me to be happy, and I know that happiness is something that we can all achieve. There's that saying, the yin and yang. It doesn't mean that happiness is going to be there all the time, but you learn how to face your challenges like an adult rather than, as I used to in the past, not less so. I'm pleased I gave myself this challenge, and I think that because of it I've known a lot more about myself. If I hadn't have done it, I wouldn't have been able to analyse myself and I wouldn't have been able to improve. I remember last year I said, wherever you are, you can always improve. And I'm sure that by this time next year I'll be thinking, how can I improve? But I certainly know the things, so I feel that next year's Motivational Challenge video will be very different. I know that I will be able to achieve things because I've now got this time that I can reflect on how the year went, and as they say, an airplane never goes in a straight line, it's always slightly altering its course, and I can reflect what I did well, and I think it's always do the NLP salute, tap myself on the back for the wonderful things, but also as well knowing that, you know, I can do much better in other areas, and not just talk about doing better, actually do better. Video work that I'm now doing is a surprise. I loved video work and I wanted to get into radio broadcasting, which you probably heard on other videos. I really wanted to get into radio broadcasting at one point, and I think why I liked radio broadcasting more so than video was that the equipment I was given at college was so terrible. Sorry, Stroud College. I'm sure it's much better now, but it looked like a 1980s camcorder, and also as well you needed a lot of money to make something look good, whereas you could just go out and interview somebody or do a radio documentary. You could go to outer space, forward in time, back in time to a different country, and just use sound effects that you could create with yogurt pots and all sorts of wonderful things and get them off gramophone records. But I did learn a lot of video as well, and that's been helpful for what I've been doing. And I'm somebody who loves travelling, and it's given me the opportunity to travel and meet really interesting people. So that has been a surprise of video work, but a very pleasant one, because it's rekindled that passion that when I first got into NLP I slightly forgot about how much I love media and I love videos. Everybody can set up their YouTube channel now, which is great. The only thing they had before was a program called Takeover Television. So if you've got that itch, if you're watching this, then go ahead, go and set up your own YouTube channel. It's fun, I promise you. I'm very grateful for the very first cassette I got, Sensational Snooker, and I would also say the other Paul McKenna book I'm grateful for, Change Your Life in 7 Days, because that laid a seed within inside myself that I don't need to have low self-esteem. I don't need to feel down about myself, that just by the way you change your thinking, you can change your life for the better. We're filming today at Westbury Court Gardens, so I think it might be nice if we take a bit of a look round now.